Hello, everyone. This is Maxine with the Metanoia Life coming to you today with another gratitude conversation. And today, my guest is Nina Obier. Welcome, Nina.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here, Maxine.
Thank you so much for joining me. Nina and I met so many years ago, and as we are here reminiscing, we actually have not had personal interactions with each other, but we have been doing the dance with each other for quite a number of years in the network marketing space. So I want to introduce you to Nina today from her book. And whoop, I have my blur on. That's why the name of the book is The Simple Way to Daily Clarity. And yes, and this is not the only book that Nina has written. She's quite the author. So let me read what she has put in here to introduce herself, and I think it represents her perfectly. It starts, Welcome. Here is a little bit about me. I love the Lord our God with all my heart, enjoy playing silly games, and often use the phrase, in my humble opinion. I'm known for combining the wisdom of a 90-year-old with the energy of a 9-year-old. My mission is to smile, share, motivate, inspire, listen, and encourage. And so, ladies, Nina.
Oh, Maxine, thank you so much. And before we got on here, when you showed me that you had picked up the book, I was like, what? I mean, we just spoke the other day. So I am honored and I am humbled by the fact that you grabbed a copy of it. So thank you very much.
Of course, of course. And I have been flipping through it, and it's actually really good because in the beginning, you just lay out what it is it's a journal, just for me to say that. But you lay out why we should journal, and you give us some ways of going about it. Can you talk a little bit about your process while you were writing this?
Yeah, absolutely. So again, we have known each other, right, for a long
I
time. Like,
remember when you authored your first book. That's how long it's been.
yeah, so that was 2015. And I believe we met probably the year before that. And I say that because I was introduced, I've always, so let me go back. Putting pen to paper is really my jam. And so we will probably touch on that throughout this short conversation. It really has served me throughout my life quite a bit. Just from simple, like loving to take notes, to writing notes, to just, having a diary as a kid, like all those kinds of things. It's just kind of always been in my life. And then back in 2014, I went to a event. It was a Women's Prosperity Network event, which maybe you were at or not.
Yeah.
And uh, one of the sisters, it's three sisters that own the company, went through her process, her morning routine process. And I was fascinated by it. And I immediately wanted to adopt it. And I also thought, oh my gosh, I can't probably do this on my own. I'm really good with accountability. And that's kind of my also claim to fame. And so they paired me up with someone, and I had the pleasure and the honor of holding each other accountable for over 500 days with a woman named Kat Wagman, who,
Remember her.
yeah, who would then go on to, we would find that that process, we had no idea what journey it would take us on. And it took her on a health journey that inevitably ended up in her passing away. And so it has had just this deep connection to me. Again, this putting pen to paper. And from that, um, I have allowed myself to let the spirit move me and come up with what process works for me, like get some more depth to it. So again, I think most things come from somewhere else, right? There's really nothing new on the
You.
planet. Um, However, there's always the take that can come from your life experience.
Unique, yes.
Yeah. And so that's really where the journey began because I allowed myself to put my thoughts on paper, to the good, the bad, the unknown, all of that. And then little by little, this process came out, which I love acronyms, I love alliteration, I love all that kind of stuff. And so now I have this whole process that is based on a simple acronym, the word simple, and it really follows my beliefs, which are to be first, then do so that you will have,
Oh,
and I,
that's so great.
yeah, yeah.
So great.
So that's what the book kind of walks you through. I think us as humans and from all the outside influences, it's like, well, what are you going to do next? What action are you going to take? What are you going to, and yes, things do take action, but first, how are you showing up
Yes.
in that step? So the beingness is really, to me, where the focus is.
Yes. And I am someone who loves to journal. So I'm going to take this, it's a 90-day journal. So I'm going to take, after November is done, the next 90-day, and I'm going to try your process
I
because
love
I love learning new processes too. So I'm going to do this process and see what else it brings out of me and how it switches my type of journaling because I do love to put pen to paper as well.
I love that. And since we're talking about gratitude, right? Like it
Yes.
is another way to, that's not a new concept either. And
Yes.
so there is obviously flexibility in the process because it has to align with you. But I love that there's also a little bit of structure and a focus to go into it. And, the very first thing that it talks about is to be still. And just me saying that, how does that make you feel?
Yes.
Right? Does that like give you the
The crazy world is
heebie-jeebies?
going around, spinning, spinning, spinning. Just stop and be still. Gather your
Stop and be
thoughts.
still. Right, right. And so I love that each week we have a theme and you get to like dive deeper into that theme. So yeah, thank you again for picking it up and for allowing me to kind of share it because it has been something in my life again, for more structured for 10 years. But this simple process probably came about probably in 2019, so about 5 years ago.
Well, I'm excited to dive in. And you're also known for joy. When I think of Nina, I think of joy.
Oh, thank you. I laugh sometimes when people respond to things and they actually call me Joy. I'm like, okay, not my name, but
Your
thank
demeanor.
you. But thank you. And thank you. I really don't use this word loosely, but I'm humbled by that and that you see it. And it's not by my doing, right? I will be completely clear that I believe that it is a gift from God,
Yeah.
and that it's taken some time to recognize that this is His will and His desire of how I show up. And it feels good not to like I don't know what the word is, not to pretend. Like this isn't pretend, right?
Yes.
Like this is
Yes.
just
It's coming from deep on the inside of you. It's genuine.
totally, totally. And I know we were talking about like about gratitude before we were on here and which way would it go. And so, the goal in recent years, especially under living in such a time as this, has been understanding and to have that joy no matter what is transpiring
Yes.
in the outside world, right? And including what's happening in your inside world.
Yes.
And so it has taken time and commitment and trust to get to this space. And guess what? I'm human. And very recently, I had a situation where I really had to practice what has been on my heart all these years. I was given uh, an opportunity, and we can talk about that through my daughter's wedding. So I only have two daughters. We had our very first wedding, and I will tell you, it ran the gamut of the emotions.
Yes, I can well imagine. I have two daughters and they've both been married. And yes, there are different stages for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I think just using that real life example and how truly this process that I have been doing and how it has served me is just so important. So our daughter met her fiance back in 2020, right? Right when the pandemic happened. And she was just starting school to become a doctor in physical therapy. And my husband and I, moved from their childhood home. So my daughter was going to school in South Florida. We lived in South Florida, but we picked up and left to South Carolina. So there was that, and it was the pandemic,
Yeah.
and all that kind of stuff. So again, you can see how the process can help you. But fast forward to her getting engaged. She got engaged in South Carolina because that's where she lives now. So, oh my gosh, such gratitude. Okay, how can we do this? She had a year and a half engagement process, and then we had a 5-day wedding experience.
Oh my
So,
gosh.
yeah, so just again, that whole process, and I became very involved by her asking that I basically became her personal assistant. And we did it. We had the most incredible experience. I have been on a social media fast for almost the whole entire year, but I came off the fast so that I could share each step of the way with our friends and family. Now you would think, oh my gosh, that would bring you so much joy. That would be, just so amazing. And you're so grateful for the experience. And I am here to tell you that it was probably one of the hardest things that I did right after the wedding because I have never felt such exhaustion,
Yes.
um, mentally, emotionally, physically, even spiritually, coming off that year and a half intensity, right? Um, and so I truly was not prepared for it. And I felt like I was having an out of body experience. And
Wow.
yet people turn to me, right, for who I am to my core. And yet, guess what? I'm also
You
human.
you needed some downtime.
I definitely
Say
needed
the
some
least.
downtime. Yes. So I bring this up because that is something that you also can be grateful for, right? Part of the process of putting pen to paper, part of the process of being in this simple acronym to be still, to be intentional, to be mindful, to be present, to be loving, to be engaged, is that we can't say yes to everything,
Yeah.
right? There's that, they talk about it all the time, the FOMO, right? The fear of missing out. And yet, over the past several years, I have learned the JOMO, which is the joy of missing out. Because the truth be told, we miss out on things all day
The
long,
time.
all the time, all the time. So, what happened, why I'm telling you that is because it really was the most incredible. I was so present, I was so in. We loved every minute of it. And then you're done. And now all of a sudden, all you have left is yourself and your thoughts. And those thoughts, you can have 60 to 90,000 thoughts a day. And
Yes.
they can be the same ones that you had yesterday. And when they're not thoughts that are serving you, downward spiral,
Yes. Definitely.
downward spiral. So I initiated what I know to be true. I allowed myself to feel my feelings. I allowed myself to rest. I allowed myself to disengage, right? I had to take care of myself, or I wouldn't be having this conversation with you
Yes.
right now. Like, I'm back, by the way. It took me a good 2, almost 3 weeks, but that's okay. That's okay. And I am great. I'm grateful for that suffering and that sorrow and that confusion that I felt afterwards. And I am grateful that I
Yeah.
can be here now and I can focus on what's going right and that it's all on paper, the good, the bad, and the indifferent. So
Yes.
that to me, that is the process of gratitude.
Yes. Oh, that's so good. Because a year and a half of having a goal that you're working towards every day, day in, day out, you're consumed with this thing. And then it finally happens. And even thinking, oh, could we have done this better? Could we have done this differently? And you just have to lay it all down.
Oh my gosh,
It's
right?
done.
It's done, right? And guess what? You can't change it anyways.
Yes.
It's done. The past is the past,
Yeah.
right? But again, I'm just here trying to be as completely honest as possible. I could not get out of my own way.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
so consumed. I allowed the thoughts to go crazy. And what's interesting is in the process, right? I told you about who to be still, be intentional, be mindful, be present, be loving, be engaged. Well, in the doing part, it's slow down. For me, it's invoke the Holy Spirit. Um, mind your mind. Well,
Yes.
wouldn't you know, in my 90-day process that I was in, of course, while this was all transpiring, I was focused that week on mind your mind. Ha, ha,
Cast those things out. Don't let them take root. Get rid of them. Come back to being.
right? I mean, I could have been in any part of
Yeah.
the process, but no, had me at mind your mind, right? So, anyways, I am like, so grateful, but boy, tears, anger, like I did all. I did the gamut of the
Yes.
emotion. But
Yes.
in the end, right? Again, now I can say how grateful I am for what is, because all we have is what is.
Yes.
So then
That's
how are
right.
you going to move through it on a day-to-day basis?
That's right. Oh, that's so good. That's so good. So your other books, is it two other books you have?
So I did the first one when you and I had first met is also it's got content and of course a place to write because writing is so important. And that was Listen, Learn, Love, Lead, 40 simple messages for an inspired life. And then my first really journal that came out was called My Daily Clarity. So very similar concepts,
Yeah.
but kind of based on other things to focus on while you're journaling. So again, you'll see that the format is super, super similar. But from my daily clarity and doing that all the time, that was in 2016. Again, now this simple process came out, and the Lord had me then do my next journal, which was for a more specific audience. And so that's where daily clarity for Catholics came up.
Okay.
And then from that, again, he just kept working on me. And then now the fourth one, which is this one, the simple way to daily clarity. And again, this 90-day process, and this one is 90 days to engage, encounter, and embrace joy. And for me, joy is the journey of yes. So
Yes.
here we go again. Like you cannot say yes to everything. Saying no is a complete sentence. You've probably heard these things before, but yet why don't you allow yourself, to be grateful for the joy of missing out? So that's where this one came through. And back to 10 years ago when I first learned about these morning rituals, having an accountability partner was so key. So throughout this process, I do small groups and we kind of meet, online every day and just talk about like that morning and then have conversations in between. And so that's been such a blessing in my life as well.
Yeah, it's so important to have an accountability partner or a community of women or whoever that you can relate to, that you can be completely vulnerable with. It's really important. And that's what I'm trying to build in this community of women, kingdom women coming together who need support uplifting a community where they can come and find resources, they can reach out to other women. So that's really my heart, and that's really so important.
It is so important. And so if you're listening to this and you're hearing that, be the one, right? Be that person who is willing to go there. Again, through this whole process and this meltdown basically that I had, right? This complete breakdown. The breakthrough that came from it was there were two friends that I had to call and I had to beg for forgiveness through tears. One was that I had to tell her that I wasn't coming to my 40-year high school reunion. I knew I should have never committed to it because it was right after the wedding, but I felt the pressure, right? And the people saying, but you're going to miss out. When will you ever have another chance to go to
And
your
to
40th high
see
school reunion?
everybody in.
But it never felt in alignment. And then when it came to it, and I had this complete, like, out of body experience, basically, right, with my exhaustion, I had to call her. And I am forever grateful to her for allowing me to be authentic and vulnerable, and for her to receive my forgiveness, and for her to say, take care of yourself,
Yes.
right? But how often do we do that? How often do we say, no, this doesn't feel right. No, I can't do it. I mean, we push ourselves to the brink for what, right? For what? So, I will continue to pray over your community and that people will be willing, right? We have to come up vulnerably and show that, and then just release it, right? Just love where people are at and know that we are all uniquely different, but yet all so similar.
So
And
that's
we
right.
don't we don't share enough to know that we have more similarities, more
That,
commonalities than we know.
that's right. That's right. We're all made in the image and likeness of God. We all have his characteristics, and they're evident if we just give way to them and just accept the fact that God is inside of us. And God, most of all and first of all, is love, and we need to love each other. And then the rest will work itself out from there.
Absolutely.
We
Absolutely.
accept each other.
That's what kept me going, right? That the commandments,
Yeah,
love God above all else, and then love your neighbor as yourself. So I
absolutely.
love that. Oh, I'm so grateful and in gratitude that even if it's 10 years later,
Yeah,
we are actually connecting, right? All in his timing.
all in its timing. So, Nina, let the people know if you have anything coming up or where they can contact you if they need more information about you. Do you do speaking engagements, anything like that?
Oh my gosh, I love that you said that. I've been a personal assistant for a wedding for the past year and a half. Um,
Your life has been pretty much on hold.
no longer a personal assistant, so no, you can't hire me for that. But yeah, just a couple of things. If you want to connect more there, it is info, so info at ninaobier.com, NinaObier.com. And I say that because I'm still not sure where the Lord has me with social media. So you can email me there. I have done a couple of recently book studies, and we do them again over a period of time on a daily, right? So again, meeting in a Facebook Messenger group, talking over a book. And so Matthew Kelly is one of my go-to authors, and he just wrote a book called Slowing Down to the Speed of Joy.
Wow.
Yeah, slowing down to the speed of joy. And so I have decided to do a 40-day journey through that book. And so that is coming up fast. On my birthday, November 26th, we're going to start. And so it will take you through the end of the year into the first week of the year, which I find so fascinating that this came as a divine download because who's slowing down
Down
to the
at
speed
the
of
end of the
joy
year.
when the holidays are coming?
Yes.
So, I'm super excited about that. So yeah, if you want any more information, go ahead and email me. I still do a little room on Clubhouse, and you may or may not even know Clubhouse. It was pretty popular in 2021, and I started a room called Cup of Joy. And every Tuesday and Thursday, we still do a power hour there. So, anyways, those are a few ways.
It's a very
Really,
nice community of ladies who are very loving and very engaging and very accepting.
thank you so much. It's interesting because this morning, we do an opening thought to kind of just like kind of center the room. We play a song beforehand, and it's called "Thank God for Something" by Hawk Nelson. We have been playing that song for almost 4 years, every Tuesday and Thursday. Thank God for something, right? So put that in your gratitude. And then this morning, I took out a book called The To Be List, placed my hand on my heart, placed my hand on the book, opened up the book. To be vulnerable.
God knows all.
Can't make this stuff up.
No, when we think he doesn't care, he makes us know in tiny little ways sometimes that he does absolutely care,
Absolutely.
for sure. Nina, thank you so much.
Thank you,
Thank you
Maxine. It's been an
for
absolute pleasure.
thank you for accepting my invitation. And I know we're gonna be doing something else together very soon. I can
I
feel
love it.
it. So, ladies, from my heart to yours, enjoy, and we'll be talking again soon. Bye.
Bye.